The massive Valaxian observation vessel emerged from hyperspace like a crystal breaking through dark water, its translucent hull refracting Jupiter's distant sunlight into rainbow cascades. Inside NASA's Deep Space Communications Center, Dr. Emily Anderson's coffee cup slipped from her fingers, shattering against the floor as her eyes fixed on the readings flooding her monitors. "Sir," she called out, her voice steady despite her racing heart. "You're going to want to see this." Director Matthews appeared behind her chair within seconds, his usual composure cracking as he processed the data. The vessel was unlike anything humanity had ever encountered. A structure that seemed to defy the laws of physics, its hull composed of what appeared to be living crystal. "Are they broadcasting?" Matthews asked, gripping the back of Emily's chair. As if in response, every screen in the facility flickered simultaneously. The message that appeared was in perfect English, though no one had sent Earth any form of translation matrix. "Primitive species detected. Initiating standard observation protocols." Emily's fingers flew across her keyboard, analyzing the signal. "It's being broadcast worldwide, sir. Every device capable of receiving transmissions is getting this message." The arrogance in those two simple sentences made her blood boil. 6 FIDs and 15 years of xenobiological research had prepared her for first contact, but nothing had prepared her for being dismissed so casually. Within hours, the Valaxian ship had taken up position in Earth orbit, and the first shuttle descended through the atmosphere. Emily stood among a hastily assembled welcome committee at Edwards Air Force Base, watching as the crystalline craft touched down with impossible grace. The beams that emerged made her reassess everything she thought she knew about xenobiology. They stood nearly 12 feet tall, their bodies covered in what appeared to be living armor that pulsed with bioluminescent patterns. Their movements were fluid, almost predatory, and their four-fingered hands ended in retractable claws that gleamed like polished obsidian. "We are the Valaxian Scientific Corps," the leader announced, its voice resonating with harmonics that made Emily's teeth vibrate. "I am Chief Observer Thax." The universal translator they carried converted their complex language into English, though Emily noticed it struggled with certain concepts. "Welcome to Earth." Director Matthews stepped forward. "I'm Director James Matthews of NASA, and this is our leading xenobiologist, Dr. Emily Anderson." Thax's head tilted, multiple eyes focusing on Emily with an intensity that made her skin crawl. "Xenobiologist? You study other species. How quaint, considering your limited exposure to the galaxy." Emily bit back her initial response. "We believe in being prepared," she said instead, maintaining eye contact with the towering alien. "Though I admit, your species presents fascinating questions about convergent evolution and biological crystalline integration that I never—" "Fascinating," Thax interrupted, mandibles clicking in what Emily would later learn was amusement. "Your species has barely mastered basic spaceflight. You still rely on chemical propulsion and fossil fuels. Your cities would crumble in environments we consider comfortable for younglings." As if to demonstrate, one of the other Valaxians casually lifted a 2-ton piece of equipment with one hand. The display of strength was clearly meant to intimidate. But Emily noticed something else. In the hot California sun, the Valaxians were already showing signs of discomfort. Their crystalline armor was pulsing faster, and they kept shifting positions, seeking shade. "Perhaps," Emily replied carefully, "there are different measures of advancement than pure strength or technological achievement. Humanity has survived and thrived in environments from the Arctic to the Sahara, from mountaintops to ocean depths." Thax's dismissive gesture cut her off. Yes, we will study your adaptability, limited though it may be. It is standard procedure for all newly discovered primitive species." As the Valaxians moved toward the base's main building, Emily caught Matthew's eye. They shared a knowing look. The aliens' arrogance would be their weakness. They were so convinced of their superiority that they weren't really seeing humanity at all. What they saw as primitive, Emily knew was efficiency. What they dismissed as limited, she recognized as focused evolution. And as she watched the mighty Valaxians hurry into the air-conditioned building, already overwhelmed by Earth's primitive environment, she couldn't help but smile. They had no idea what they were about to learn about humanity. The Houston Sinological Research Center buzzed with activity as Dr. Emily Anderson led Kithax through the newly established Joint Research Facility. Holographic displays lined the walls, showing various aspects of human history and achievement. The Valaxian scientists' crystalline armor pulsed with patterns that Emily had learned to recognize as confusion. "I don't understand," Kithax said, mandibles clicking as he studied footage of a Kalahari tribesman tracking a kudu through the scorching African savanna. "Your species lacks enhanced vision, superior strength, or natural weapons, yet these humans pursue prey for days." Emily nodded, pulling up additional footage. "It's called persistence hunting. Before we developed advanced weapons, it was one of humanity's most effective hunting strategies. Some cultures still practice it today." The video showed the tribesmen following barely visible tracks, occasionally touching the ground, reading signs invisible to the casual observer. Hours compressed into minutes as the hunter maintained a steady pace under the brutal sun. The kudu, forced to stop and rest repeatedly, eventually succumbed to exhaustion. "Impossible," Kithax declared, though Emily noted his tone had shifted from dismissive to intrigued. "No species can maintain pursuit for that long in such conditions." "That's where you're wrong," Emily countered, switching to another display. "Dr. Thompson, bring up the ultramarathon footage." The screen filled with images of runners crossing Death Valley, their bodies pushing through conditions that would kill most mammals. Temperature readings showed 120 degrees Fahrenheit, 49 degrees Celsius. Yet the humans pressed on. "This is Sarah Martinez," Emily explained, pointing to a particularly determined runner. "She completed this 135-mile race in under 24 hours, in conditions your environmental suits categorize as hazardous." Thax's multiple eyes blinked in rapid succession. "But how? The energy expenditure alone." "Sweating," Emily interrupted, enjoying the rare opportunity to educate the supposedly superior being. "Our thermoregulation system is among the most efficient in our planet's history. We can cool ourselves continuously while moving. Most animals, and apparently Valaxians, must stop to prevent overheating." She pulled up more displays. Native American tracking techniques that could follow week-old trails, Arctic hunters reading snow patterns to locate prey beneath feet of ice, modern military units operating in conditions from jungle to desert. "Your species values immediate physical superiority," Emily continued. "Strength, speed, natural weapons. But humanity evolved something different. Endurance, adaptability, and pattern recognition. We don't need to be the strongest or fastest. We just need to be relentless." Kithax moved closer to the displays, his usual aristocratic posture forgotten in his fascination. "These patterns of pursuit, they're repeated across your entire history, across all cultures." "Because it works," Emily said simply. "We evolved as pursuit predators. Every human culture developed these skills independently because they're written into our DNA. Your people might be able to lift more weight or see in the dark, but can you track prey across 3 different terrains for days without stopping?" The Valaxian scientist was quiet for a long moment, studying the displays with new intensity. His armor's bioluminescent patterns had shifted to what Emily recognized as their recording configuration. "There's more," she added, bringing up new footage. "Modern special forces units combining these ancient techniques with current technology. Hunters using satellite imaging alongside traditional tracking methods. We didn't abandon our evolutionary advantages when we developed technology. We enhanced them." Kithax's response was interrupted by a commotion at the facility's entrance. Commander Zexthor strode in, his military armor glowing with aggressive patterns. Emily had learned to dislike the young Valaxian officer, who seemed to embody his species' worst traits of arrogance and dismissiveness. Still studying the primitives, Kithax. Zexthor's harmonics dripped with disdain. "I have a more efficient proposal. Let them prove their worth. if they can. As the commander outlined his challenge, Emily watched Kithax's reaction. The scientist's patterns had shifted again, showing what she interpreted as concern. He had begun to understand something about humanity that Zexthor hadn't yet grasped. They weren't just studying another primitive species. They were learning about one of the most efficient hunting machines evolution had ever produced. And soon, Emily thought with a subtle smile, they were going to get a very practical demonstration of exactly what that meant. The United Nations General Assembly fell silent as Commander Zexthor's massive form dominated the podium. His crystalline armor pulsed with aggressive patterns that reflected off the polished walls, creating an otherworldly light show that drew all eyes to him. "Your species claims to be worthy of galactic recognition." His voice resonated through the chamber. "Yet all I see are soft creatures hiding behind machines." He gestured dismissively at the assembled diplomats. "The Galactic Federation requires proof of evolutionary fitness. I propose a test." Dr. Emily Anderson, seated in the scientific advisory section, watched the alien's theatrical display with growing irritation. Next to her, Kithax's pattern showed what she now recognized as embarrassment at his commander's behavior. "A hunting competition," Zexthor continued. "Your best against ours. The prize: immediate recognition in the Galactic Federation. The consequence of failure: classification as a protected primitive species." The chamber erupted in outrage, but a clear voice cut through the chaos. "We accept." All heads turned to see Jack "Ghost" Martinez standing at his seat, his former Force Recon bearing evident in his straight spine and steady gaze. At 6'2", he was dwarfed by the Valaxians, but something in his stance made several of them shift uncomfortably. "And who are you to speak for your species?" Zexthor demanded. Gunnery Sergeant Jack Martinez, United States Marine Corps Force Recon, retired. Current wilderness survival expert and hunting guide. His voice carried the quiet confidence of someone who had nothing to prove. "And I'm just the first member of our team." The next person to stand was Hannah Blackwood, her weathered face and calloused hands, telling the story of countless days in Montana's wilderness. Third-generation hunting guide, specialized in tracking predators across multiple terrains. Michael Red Cloud rose next, his traditional braids contrasting with his modern tactical clothing. Traditional tribal hunter and former Army Ranger, expert in combining ancient tracking methods with modern techniques. Finally, Kate Iron Sullivan stood, her lean ultramaratoner's frame coiled with subtle strength. Four-time winner of the Badwater Ultramarathon. Specialist in extreme environment endurance. Zexthor's mandibles clicked rapidly, a sign of agitation that Emily had learned to recognize. This wasn't the cowed response he had expected. "You dare to challenge us with..." He paused, searching for the right word. "Primitive hunters." "No," Jack replied calmly. "We're accepting your challenge with the right tools for the job. No plasma rifles, no thermoptic camouflage. Just humans doing what we evolved to do." The commander's armor flashed with patterns of rage and amusement. "You would handicap yourselves further. Fine. In 3 Earth days, we will meet on the hunting preserve world of Nexus VI. Your team against our finest hunters." As the chamber cleared, Emily caught up with the human team in the corridor. "You know they're underestimating you," she said. Jack's smile was predatory. "They're not the first. Won't be the last. They've chosen Nexus VI because their enhanced vision works well in its twilight environment," Emily explained. "The atmosphere is denser than Earth's, and the gravity is 1.2 times what you're used to." "Good," Hannah said, checking something on her tablet. "That'll slow down the prey, make the tracks deeper." Michael nodded. "And the dense atmosphere will hold scent better. They've actually done us a favor. Their pride will be their downfall," Kate added, already stretching for what would undoubtedly be another training run. "They think they're gods among the stars, but they've forgotten something fundamental." "What's that?" Emily asked, though she suspected she knew the answer. "Every predator eventually becomes prey," Jack said softly. "And humans, We've been both. We remember what it takes to be each one. As the team left to prepare, Emily noticed Cathax lingering in the shadows, his patterns showing intense concentration as he recorded everything. She wondered if he alone among his people understood what was about to happen. The Valaxians thought they were setting up a simple contest of strength and technology. Instead, they were about to witness what millions of years of evolution had created. Humanity at its most primally efficient, and Emily couldn't wait to document every moment of their realization. The Montana wilderness stretched endlessly before the human team's training camp, dawn painting the sky in hues of orange and pink, while the Valaxians showcased their technological prowess in elaborate demonstrations worldwide. Jack Martinez watched Hannah Blackwood teach his team how to read the landscape with nothing but their eyes and experience. "See how the dew's disturbed here?" Hannah pointed to a patch of grass most would overlook. "Animal passed through less than an hour ago. Direction tells us it was heading to water." Kate Iron Sullivan knelt beside the tracks, her ultramarathoner's frame adapting easily to the stalking position. The spacing suggests it wasn't in a hurry, probably felt safe. "Good," Hannah nodded. "Michael, what else?" Michael Red Cloud was already studying the wider scene. "Broken cobweb between those branches. Height tells us it's larger than a deer, probably elk." From the tree line, Dr. Emily Anderson watched in fascination, her tablet recording everything for the official documentation. Beside her, Cathax's patterns shifted between confusion and reluctant admiration. "They're not using any technology," the Valaxian scientist observed. "Not even basic thermal imaging. They're learning to read the world with their natural abilities first," Emily explained. "Technology can fail. Evolution doesn't." The sound of approaching footsteps drew their attention. Commander Zexthor strode into the clearing, his armor glowing with obvious disdain. Behind him, 3 Valaxian hunters carried what looked like crystalline rifles and shimmersuit prototypes. "Still playing in the dirt." Zexthor's voice dripped with contempt. "Perhaps you'd like to see real hunting equipment." He gestured, and one of his hunters activated a shimmersuit, nearly disappearing from view. Jack stood slowly, brushing dirt from his knees. "Impressive. Now what happens when it malfunctions?" "Valaxian technology doesn't malfunction," Zexthor snapped. "Everything malfunctions," Hannah interjected, pulling a simple wooden bow from her gear. "That's why we master the basics first. Kate, show them the night run course." Kate smiled and pointed to a barely visible trail leading up the mountain. 10 miles, rough terrain, no lights. We run it every night. Care to join us?" The Valaxian hunters shifted uncomfortably, their armor patterns showing uncertainty. Their enhanced vision worked best in twilight, not complete darkness. "A waste of time," Zexthor declared. "We came to show you our latest hunting innovations. This plasma rifle can track and target prey at 3 kilometers. "Impressive," Michael said, testing the edge of a hand-forged knife. "But what tells you which prey to track? What shows you if it's the dominant male or a juvenile? Technology can kill. Hunting is about understanding." Jack stepped forward, his presence somehow filling the space despite being physically smaller than the aliens. "You want to show us your advantages? Fine. But remember this. Every piece of technology you're bringing is designed to make up for something your species can't do naturally. Everything we're bringing is designed to enhance what we already can." Emily noticed Cathax's patterns shift to what she now recognized as deep thought. The scientist was starting to understand. "Marathon runners," Cathax said suddenly. "You're not just training them to hunt. You're maintaining their natural endurance advantage." "That's right," Emily confirmed. "Humans don't need technology to pursue prey for days. We don't need enhanced vision to read tracks. We evolved these abilities over millions of years." The day continued, the human team moving through their preparation exercises with fluid efficiency. They practiced fire starting without matches, water finding without tools, and tracking without technology. Each skill was honed until it became instinct. As dusk approached, Kate led the team on their night run. Emily watched them disappear into the darkness, moving with confident familiarity through terrain that would challenge even enhanced vision. They're not preparing for a hunting competition, Kithax realized aloud. They're remembering what they've always been. Exactly, Emily smiled. The Valaxians evolved to be stronger, faster, more technologically advanced. But humans, we evolved to endure, to adapt, to never stop pursuing our prey. In the growing darkness, the sound of steady footfalls echoed down the mountain as the team ran their course. No lights, no technology, just humans doing what they'd done for hundreds of thousands of years. And somewhere in the night, an elk moved silently through the wilderness, unaware it was helping train the galaxy's most persistent hunters. The alien sun of Nexus VI cast an eternal twilight across its hunting grounds, thick purple clouds creating an atmosphere that would have been oppressive to most species. Dr. Emily Anderson stood at the base camp with Kithax, watching both teams make their final preparations through the monitoring feeds. The Valaxian hunting party was a sight to behold. Their crystalline armor pulsed with combat patterns, plasma rifles humming with barely contained energy. Thermoptic camouflage shimmered around them like heat waves off hot asphalt. In stark contrast, the human team looked almost primitive. Jack Martinez adjusted the straps on his lightweight pack, checking his traditional compound bow. Hannah Blackwood knelt in the alien soil, reading its consistency, while Michael Red Cloud studied the strange vegetation patterns. Kate Sullivan was already stretching, her body preparing for what could be days of pursuit. First team to bring down a Nexian Alpha Predator wins, Commander Zexthor announced, his voice carrying across the gathered crowd of alien observers. Our scanning shows 3 in the hunting zone. May the superior hunters prevail. Good hunting, Jack replied simply, his calm demeanor a sharp contrast to the Valaxians' theatrics. The Valaxian team moved out first, their enhanced vision and technology letting them practically glide through the twilight forest. Within minutes, they had disappeared into the alien wilderness. The human team didn't rush. Hannah took samples of soil from different areas, rubbing them between her fingers. Ground's damp here. Tracks will be clear, last longer. Gravity's making everything sink deeper too, Michael noted, studying some broken vegetation. See how the branches snap instead of bend. Makes tracking easier. Kate was already establishing a sustainable pace, her breathing regulated for long-distance pursuit. Temperatures perfect for marathon conditions. They did us a favor choosing this place. Jack raised his hand for silence, pointing to a disturbed area of vegetation. Look familiar. Hannah smiled. Just like mountain lion tracks back home. Different shape, but same movement pattern. Predator, definitely solitary. The team moved out, their formation natural and practiced. Kate took point, setting a pace they could maintain for days if necessary. Michael and Hannah read the alien landscape like a book, noting every broken branch and displaced stone. Jack brought up the rear, his military experience keeping them aware of their surroundings. 3 hours in, their radios crackled with news from base camp. Valaxian team has made first contact, Emily's voice reported. They're engaging a juvenile alpha predator with plasma weapons. Let them have it, Jack replied quietly. Hannah. These tracks are from something bigger, she confirmed. Much bigger, probably the dominant male we want. The day wore on. The Valaxian team made 2 more kills, their superior technology allowing them to quickly locate and take down their targets from a distance. They celebrated each kill with broadcasts back to base camp, their victory seemingly assured. But Dr. Anderson noticed something they didn't. The human team hadn't stopped once. They moved with methodical precision, reading the alien environment as if they'd hunted there all their lives. When they found fresh tracks, their pace didn't change. They simply followed, relentless as gravity. I don't understand, Kithax said, watching the monitors. They've passed several potential targets. Why don't they engage? They're not hunting just any prey, Emily explained. They're tracking something specific. Watch. As if on cue, Jack's voice came through the radio, barely a whisper. "Base, we've got it. Dominant male, headed north. At least twice the size of what the Valaxians took down." "How can you be sure?" Thax demanded. The camera feed from Kate's shoulder unit told the story. Massive tracks in the alien soil, broken trees that would require incredible strength to snap, and marks on standing vegetation that showed the creature's height. "Because we're hunters," came Hannah's quiet reply. "Real hunters don't just kill. We read the story the land tells us." As darkness fell on Nexus VI, the Valaxian team made camp, their technology needing time to recharge. But through the night, motion sensors kept tracking the human team. They moved steadily, purposefully, following their quarry with the patience of a species that had perfected the art of persistence hunting. The real hunt was just beginning. 3 days into the hunt, the difference between the two teams had become stark. The Valaxian hunting party's armor no longer pulsed with its pristine patterns. Instead, it flickered erratically, power cells depleted from constant use. Their plasma rifles hung heavy, energy reserves critically low. At the base camp monitoring station, Dr. Emily Anderson watched the feeds with growing satisfaction. Fax's patterns showed what she now recognized as astonishment. "They haven't stopped," the Valaxian scientist muttered. 3 planetary rotations, and they haven't stopped. The human team moved through the alien landscape like ghosts. Kate Sullivan maintained the same steady pace she'd started with, her ultramarathoners training proving invaluable. Behind her, Hannah Blackwood and Michael Red Cloud read the increasingly desperate signs their prey was leaving. "Trail's getting sloppy," Hannah reported through the comm. "It's exhausted, making mistakes." Jack Martinez's voice came through next, steady as ever. "Base, be advised. Target is approximately 2 hours ahead now. We've closed the gap by 6 hours since yesterday." Commander Zexthor's voice cut through the channel, strained and angry. "Impossible. You're using hidden technology. No species can maintain pursuit this long." "No technology," Jack replied calmly. "Just 4 humans doing what we evolved to do." The feeds showed the truth of his words. While the Valaxians' sophisticated equipment failed in the humid atmosphere, the humans relied on skills honed over millennia. Michael read broken vegetation patterns that told of their prey's growing fatigue. Hannah tracked through terrain that confused even the most advanced Valaxian scanners. "Their cooling systems are failing," Thax observed, watching his fellow Valaxians struggle. "Our technology wasn't designed for prolonged exposure to this environment." Emily nodded. "But humans were designed, by evolution, to persist. We don't need cooling systems. We sweat. We don't need night vision. We adapt. We don't need strength amplification. We endure." The Nexian alpha predator they tracked was learning this lesson the hard way. Nearly 30 feet of apex predator, with natural armor and razor-sharp claws, reduced to exhausted stumbling by the relentless pursuit of 4 tiny primates. "Look at its trail." Hannah's voice came through again. "It's been 17 hours since it last rested. Can't cool down properly, just like the kudu back home." Kate's breathing remained steady in the background. "Pace is good. We can maintain this for another 2 days if needed." The monitoring station erupted in shocked whispers as the Valaxian hunting party finally admitted defeat. Their equipment had failed, their enhanced bodies pushed beyond their limits. They'd retreated to base camp, their sophisticated technology rendered useless by simple exhaustion. But the human team pressed on. "Base, visual contact," Jack reported, his voice still preternaturally calm. "Target is showing all signs of heat exhaustion. Permission to conclude the hunt." Emily keyed the mic. "Granted. All observers, stand by." What happened next left even K-Thax speechless. The team moved with practiced precision, herding their massive prey with nothing but their presence. Every time the creature tried to rest, one of them would appear, forcing it to move again. They worked in shifts, Kate's incredible endurance letting her keep the creature moving, while others took short breaks. "This isn't just hunting. Kithax realized aloud. This is mathematics. Physics. They're calculating energy expenditure, using the environment itself as a weapon. Emily smiled. Welcome to persistence hunting. The original human superpower. The end came not with the bang of plasma weapons or the hum of energy fields, but with the quiet whisper of Jack's bow. The massive predator, too exhausted to dodge, finally succumbed to a perfectly placed shot. As the human team surrounded their quarry, Commander Zexthor watched from base camp, his pattern showing disbelief and something else. Fear. He had just witnessed something that challenged everything his species believed about superiority. Dr. Anderson, Kithax said quietly, his pattern shifting to show deep respect. I believe we may need to revise our classification of your species. Emily watched her team begin the careful process of field dressing their prey, using skills passed down through countless generations. You're right, she replied. But not because of what we can kill. Because of how we do it. This isn't just about hunting. This is about what humanity truly is. In the eternal twilight of Nexus VI, 4 humans had just demonstrated why their species had become Earth's apex predator, not through superior strength or advanced technology, but through the simple, relentless application of their most basic evolutionary advantage: the ability to persist. The amphitheater of the Galactic Science Academy fell silent as Kithax took the podium, his crystalline armor pulsing with patterns that conveyed both excitement and academic rigor. Behind him, massive holoscreens displayed footage from the Nexus VI hunt, while Dr. Emily Anderson sat among a panel of distinguished xenobiologists. Esteemed colleagues, Kithax began, his harmonics resonating through the chamber, I stand before you to present findings that will revolutionize our understanding of evolutionary superiority. The screens showed split footage. The Valaxian hunters with their advanced technology, and the human team with their simple tools. We have consistently defined species advancement through immediate advantages, strength, speed, natural weapons, or technological achievement. Today, I present evidence that we have been catastrophically wrong. The footage shifted to show Kate Sullivan maintaining her relentless pace through the alien terrain, her body adapting to conditions that had overwhelmed the Valaxians' environmental suits. Observe the human thermoregulation system, Kithax continued. While our cooling technology failed, they continued. Their sweat, a seemingly primitive cooling mechanism, allowed them to maintain pursuit long after our advanced systems shut down. Commander Zexthor shifted uncomfortably in his seat as the screens displayed his team's equipment failures alongside the humans' continued progress. But the true revelation lies deeper. Kithax's patterns shifted to show intensity. Watch their tracking methodology. The screen showed Hannah and Michael reading signs in the alien environment that even the Valaxians' advanced scanners had missed. They adapted hunting techniques developed on their homeworld to a completely alien ecosystem within hours. No technology, no enhanced senses, pure observation and pattern recognition. Emily watched the assembled aliens' reactions as Kithax displayed neural scans taken during the hunt. Their brains show activity patterns we've never seen before. Simultaneous processing of environmental data, physical endurance management, and predictive modeling of prey behavior. All this in a brain evolved on a single planet. The footage shifted to Jack Martinez making the final shot. Notice the mathematics involved, Kithax pointed out. Wind speed, gravity compensation, target movement prediction, all calculated instinctively by a brain evolved for exactly this purpose. Rising murmurs filled the chamber as the implications became clear. Kithax raised his hands for silence. But here is the most crucial finding, he said, his voice dropping to emphasize the point. Humans are not simply persistence predators. They are adaptation engines. Every challenge we presented was absorbed, analyzed, and overcome using the most energy-efficient methods possible. New data streams appeared on the screens: biomechanical analysis, energy expenditure comparisons, neural pattern studies. They used approximately 1/8 the energy our hunters expended, achieved better results, and could have continued for days longer if necessary. Emily stood as Kithax called her to the podium. The Valaxian scientist's pattern showed genuine respect as he stepped aside. "What you witnessed," Emily addressed the chamber, "wasn't humans adapting to your challenge. It was humans remembering who we are. Every tool we used, from the bow to our tracking methods, was refined over hundreds of thousands of years. We didn't need to bring advanced technology because we are the technology, evolved, optimized, and perfected for exactly this purpose." The screens behind her showed the human team working in perfect synchronization. "We don't have the strongest bodies, the sharpest claws, or the most advanced natural weapons. We have something far more powerful: the ability to outthink, outadapt, and outlast any prey, or any predator." Commander Zexthor stood abruptly. "You mean to classify them as apex predators, based on primitive hunting methods?" "No." Kithax's patterns flashed with academic excitement. "I propose a new classification entirely. Humans aren't simply apex predators. They're evolutionary perfection, a species that turned their apparent weaknesses into overwhelming advantages." The chamber erupted in debate, but Emily noticed something more significant. The Valaxian military observers in the back were watching the footage with new eyes. They were seeing what Kithax had realized. Humans hadn't just won a hunting competition. They had demonstrated why they would be formidable in any context: war, exploration, survival. As the debate raged on, Emily smiled quietly. The Valaxians had wanted to test humanity's worth. Instead, they had discovered something far more significant. The true meaning of evolutionary superiority wasn't in having the most immediate advantages, but in being able to adapt, persist, and overcome regardless of the circumstances. Humanity's greatest weapon wasn't their technology or their tools. It was their very nature as the ultimate evolutionary success story. The Grand Chamber of the Galactic Federation hummed with anticipation. Representatives from 1,000 worlds gathered to witness what many were calling the most significant classification ceremony in recent history. Dr. Emily Anderson stood with her team, their simple Earth clothing contrasting sharply with the exotic attire around them. The Federation's High Council, composed of the galaxy's most advanced species, sat in tiered rows before them. Commander Zexthor and Kithax stood at the podium, their armor patterns displaying formal ceremonial configurations. "We gather today," the Federation Chancellor announced, "to formally classify humanity's status in the galactic community. Commander Zexthor, you proposed this challenge. What say you now?" Zexthor's patterns shifted through several colors before settling. He paused, mandibles clicking in what Emily now recognized as embarrassment. "I must acknowledge that I was wrong. Humanity is far more than we initially assumed." He turned to face the human team. "Your demonstration on Nexus VI wasn't just about hunting. It was about the fundamental nature of advancement. We thought ourselves superior because of our technological achievements, but you showed us something far more valuable." Kithax stepped forward, his scientific patterns pulsing with excitement. "High Council, I propose a new classification entirely. Humans represent something we've never encountered. A species that achieved apex status not through overwhelming strength or technological superiority, but through perfect evolutionary optimization." Jack Martinez stood at parade rest, his quiet confidence filling the space around him. Hannah Blackwood and Michael Red Cloud flanked him, their posture relaxed but alert. Hunters even here. Kate Sullivan's lean frame still hummed with barely contained energy, ready to run at a moment's notice. "The evidence is conclusive," Kithax continued. "Their endurance capabilities exceed any known species. Their pattern recognition and adaptive intelligence allow them to function effectively in any environment. But most importantly, they maintain these abilities without technological assistance." The council chambers erupted in discussion. Emily watched as information packets detailing the Nexus VI hunt were shared among the representatives. The footage of human persistence hunting sparked intense debate throughout the chamber. The Chancellor raised a limb for silence. "Dr. Anderson, would you address the council?" Emily stepped forward, her voice clear and confident. What you saw on Nexus VI wasn't a display of superior technology or natural weapons. It was humanity doing what we've done for hundreds of thousands of years, adapting, persisting, and overcoming. We don't need enhanced vision because we learned to read the land. We don't need superior strength because we learned to outlast our prey. We don't need natural weapons because we learned to make tools. She gestured to her team. These 4 humans demonstrated what our entire species represents, the ultimate triumph of evolutionary efficiency over brute force. We turned our apparent weaknesses into our greatest strengths. The Chancellor's bioluminescent patterns shifted through several colors before settling on a deep, respectful blue. The Council has reached a decision. Humanity is hereby classified as an S-class species, with a unique designation, Evolutionary Optimization Exemplar. The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. S-class designation meant immediate full membership in the Federation, but the special classification meant something more. Recognition that humanity represented something unique in the galaxy. Commander Zexthor stepped forward once more, his military bearing somewhat softened. I must also acknowledge something else. In watching your hunt, we realized that humanity isn't just skilled at pursuing prey. These same abilities, endurance, adaptation, pattern recognition, make you formidable in any context, including, potentially, warfare. We prefer to use our abilities for exploration and advancement, Jack replied quietly. But yes, we can be formidable when necessary. As the ceremony concluded, Emily noticed Thax conferring with other xenobiologists. Their patterns showed intense interest as they reviewed the data from Nexus VI. Humanity had just become the galaxy's most studied species, not for their technology or their strength, but for their perfect balance of abilities. So what happens now? Kate asked as they left the chamber. Emily smiled. Now we show them what humanity can really do. They've seen us hunt. Wait until they see us explore, innovate, create. The team walked out under the alien sun, representatives of a species that had just redefined galactic understanding of evolutionary success. They had proved that true superiority wasn't about having the most advantages, but about making the most of what evolution had given you. And somewhere in the chamber behind them, 1,000 alien species were beginning to wonder what other surprises humanity had in store for the galaxy.